Hi folks, well we've replaced one Richard with an Alan. In this session we're going to be talking about another brand that Holden represent, which of course is Panasonic. Alan, thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Richard, maybe you can introduce this new product and
Yes, this is actually, and Alan's much better to speak about this than me, the new AWHE 130 PTZ camera. And this is absolutely a remarkable piece of kit. It's 3/3 inch sensors.
Yeah,
and
yeah, full res.
Full HD resolution. I'd say it is a broadcast quality PTZ.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the picture quality of this camera is far improved on the 120, which was the previous model. The resolution, low light resolution, is excellent. So it fits a whole host of applications from like sort of TV, little cutaway studios, that sort of thing, bumper cameras. But you can also put it into a corporate environment as well, where maybe a sort of lighting situation is a little bit more challenging. So it really covers a broad spectrum of application.
really, I mean, three sensors. I mean, that's not what I'd expect from a PTZ camera, you know?
No, exactly.
You normally expect because of the size of it, so you pack three, what, 1/3 inch sensors in there?
They're 30-inch sensors, yes. I mean, they're very, very similar to the 30-inch sensors that we've got in our PX270, which is our sort of P2 handheld camera. So the picture quality is extremely good, and what they've done is they're very much very good at taking the existing CCD technology development and actually mapping it into other product ranges to give you improved picture quality.
And a couple of things they've added to this model, which the previous generation didn't have, is an audio input.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we've got a stereo audio input on this as well. So for like sort of sporting applications, that sort of thing, very, very useful to get a little bit of on-site sort of mic input. But it's also got a LAN connection as well as an RS-422 connection as well. So you've got flexibility in terms of connectivity, again, depending on the application.
And Panasonic have always been extremely strong in this area, haven't they? The
Yes.
PTZ things, I mean, as long as I can remember.
The 120, the previous generation, have been used on a huge amount of productions for Channel 4, for
yeah,
broadcast
reality, it
series.
finds itself, like I say, in broadcast, reality, corporate. The point is, I think a lot of these things is people want the picture quality, but they also want the actual quality of movement as well, the on-air quality movement, and this is certainly where the 130 comes into its own. It's extremely smooth in all the axes, and it is definitely on-air quality movement as well.
It seems to be a really growing area as well, with 24 hours in A&E, there's the One Born Every Minute, you've got Gogglebox.
Yeah.
All of these shows are using this type of technology.
And this has got a new feature that you can actually you can see high quality pictures through the Ethernet connection as well.
That's right.
So you could control this in a totally different location, seeing very high quality pictures over Ethernet. So a director or producer could be in another house, another
That's
location.
right. You can stream the output.
Streaming 20 megabits a second?
Yes, it's full res, 1920 1080. It's up to 24 meg, H.264 encoding.
So, and what are the other interfaces? I mean, obviously that's the head unit. Yeah. Is there a kind of controller? Is there kind of CCUs?
There's a couple of controllers which you can come and see on the Panasonic stand. There's the RP50 is a sort of small unit about the size of a big paperback book with a joystick and with buttons for selecting the cameras. You can actually use an iPad app or a computer interface to control the cameras as well. Yeah. But the best interface is something called an RP120, which is a full broadcast spec panel, about half the size of this desk, with an industrial strength. It feels like you'd fly an aeroplane with the joystick.
Yeah,
on this
it's
thing.
got an improved joystick on there for a more sort of professional feel in terms of the actual control of the camera compared to the RP50.
And presumably, just sorry to interrupt there, if you're running 10 or 15 cameras in a location, you're not necessarily controlling everyone simultaneously.
No.
So one controller can map to different cameras.
Right. One controller can actually control 100 cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we can hang up to 100 cameras off the IP network, and also up to 5 controllers as well. We have a OCP, conventional style OCP, so you can rack them in a conventional way if you want to, and they can work in parallel with the control panel. So it's a really sophisticated setup.
I mean, the last time I used a PTZ cameras many, many years ago, and it was kind of on or off. Presumably now it's all ramped and it's very smooth.
That's
it's like
right.
having an operator.
But also, if you use the RP120 controller, you can use auto tracing memory, so you can actually map a movement like a motion path in a video effects program. So you can follow a presenter walking at a certain pace and then pan off to the side, then zoom out, and everything will be mapped over the time it takes to make this move. The iris, the color balance, absolutely everything will change. So you can do some very sophisticated studio moves using this controller.
Fantastic. So what else have you guys got on the go with Panasonic at the show?
So I didn't get it.
VeriCam. What else have we got?
What other products
I'm sorry,
you got
I didn't. Well, I mean, just continuing, if I can, with the remote camera range, we've also got another little baby version of the 130 called an HE40. It's a similar sort of connectivity that you've got with the 130, but a smaller design. It's
sort of dome style camera.
Right.
By the way, both units come in black and white.
Okay.
So the evil one is the black one, and obviously the good one is the white one.
Again, these units, you can control power over Ethernet as well, so you can run the power down the Ethernet cable.
And this makes the cheaper units are excellent for installations, because one cable can take the pictures, the control, and the power. So you don't need to spend a fortune wiring the things in.
Right. Yeah. And what kind of price points are we looking at? Can we talk about price? Is price being released?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be looking at RRP on one of these units on an HE130 would be about just under £6,500, and on the 40 would be about 2,324.
That's right. There are two versions of the 40. There's an HDSDI and an HDMI version. The HDMI is about 2.5.
Yeah, that's right.
More like 3,000.
And what I mean, we've talked about some of the broadcast applications. What are some of the other more non-broadcast applications you might find yourself selling into?
Yeah, I mean, we use them for lecture capture. They go into lecture capture sort of areas. Again, they've been on sort of surveillance type sort of applications. The whole attraction of these sort of units they are self-contained. You've got a good picture quality, but you've got the control there as well. And obviously, you know, from a set design or something like that, they're quite aesthetically pleasing. So you never have a problem with a set designer or a director or whatever not wanting to include them in a set. But they do lend themselves to a whole host of applications.
And they can be hung from a ceiling or in desktop mode. So.
And presumably, if there was a production using these to capture a degree of remote content, then presumably pairing them with some of the Panasonic camcorders would give you a seamless matching workflow.
Yeah, with
true.
the quality of these sensors in these cameras, you've got a really good opportunity there to be able to match cameras. So yeah, exactly that. You can actually you can mix your production between remote and sort of conventional, you know, static or handheld cameras.
You've got full paint controls on the controllers.
Yeah, you've got full paint control. These have even got built-in ND filters as well. They've got what we call dynamic range stretch, which is really useful feature for difficult lighting sort of conditions. So you know,
which
if you
would
were
make sense, because these are going to be going into environments where you're not going to necessarily have.
It so much.
That's it, absolutely. You know, so if we were doing this interview and you had the sun behind you, you know, most conventional cameras would be blowing the highlights in the background. With the dynamic range stretch set on these cameras, it brings everything down, so you still retain the image in the background. It's an extremely useful function.
Yeah, and we can't leave a chat with Panasonic without talking about the VeriCam. I mean, that's big news, right?
Oh, fantastic! Absolutely, yeah. The best is back, as they say. So we're really excited about it. It's fully released now. We have both the 4K version and also the 2/3 inch high-speed, high-def version, which will do up to 240 frames. The 4K version will do up to 120 frames with that lovely sort of Panasonic look and feel to the pictures. So yeah, we're all very pleased about it.
The Panasonic film stock is back.
Yeah.
and what kind of response have you been having from the filmmaking community?
Yeah, very good, very good. We did a trade show a couple of weeks ago in Pinewood, and it was really there was a real good buzz about it. It was very much a sort of VeriCam show, I have to say.
Now, one of the things that I was chatting to Nigel yesterday about it that makes the VeriCam just so unique is this dual base ISO.
Oh, fantastic! Absolutely, yeah. 800 and 5000. It's just these two circuits are working parallel, and it's just taking it from 800. You switch to 5000, and you start again. So the noise is absolutely
negligible. And what kind of response have you had? Nigel was mentioning a situation where you've been showing it to DPs and to operators, and what kind of reaction have they had when you've flick the 5000 ISO on?
A lot of open mouths, actually. It's fantastic. It's one of those things you've got to really show, but once people actually sort of see it there and then, people get it straight away, and they think, and you can see them start thinking about applications they can use it, and it's very good, very powerful feature.
And of course, we mustn't ignore the more entry-level side of the range, and the stuff that you guys look after.
That's right.
Still
We've
a
got
broad range of
We've got the
camcorders.
HCX1000 as well as the on the stand here, so come and have a look at that, which will do 50p 4K, so maybe entry level, but the performance isn't. And of course the GH4 with the Yagi for giving you a high-end sort of DSLR style shallow depth of field work.
And you guys are literally in bed together. You're right next door to each other on the show floor,
Well,
aren't you?
Yeah, don't tell our wives, but no, we've worked with Panasonic.
Only at trade shows.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. only to save money. But we've been working together for probably 10 years now.
Absolutely,
Certainly 8 years of partnership with Panasonic.
Yeah,
And so here's the trickiest question of the show. What's your booth number?
What's my
What's your booth number?
booth? It's K30.
K30, and Panasonic's right next door.
We are right next door.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. We're up next talking about FS7 and XAVC from Tom Swindell, Tom Crocker from Sony, so don't go away.